The secret life of the Arctic fox, ghost of the frozen silence. Frozen winds race across a land where even the sun seems afraid to rise. A place so silent that your heartbeat becomes the loudest sound you hear. And yet, hidden in this endless white wilderness, a creature moves with the confidence of a ghost. The Arctic fox, small, delicate, and impossibly beautiful, rules a world that would kill almost every other living thing within minutes. But this fox, it dances with the cold. It plays with the storms. It survives where life shouldn't exist at all. Imagine a land where temperatures fall so low they freeze the air inside your lungs. A place where night lasts for months and daylight feels like a distant memory. Nothing grows, nothing blooms, and nothing forgives your weakness. But in this brutal world, one creature thrives, not with brute strength, but with intelligence, adaptation, and instincts sharpened by millennia. Watch it walk across the frozen world without leaving a trace. Watch it hunt sounds buried meters beneath the snow. Watch it change its colors with the seasons, as if nature painted it with invisible hands. This isn't just an animal. It's a mystery carved in ice, a whisper lost in the storm, a shadow that becomes snow, then becomes a spirit. This is the Arctic fox, the ghost of the frozen silence. And today, you will enter its secret world, a world no human could ever conquer, but one tiny fox has mastered with effortless grace. The Arctic horizon stretches like an endless sheet of white glass, a world where distance has no meaning and silence has its own weight. The wind glides low across the frozen ground, lifting tiny shards of ice and sending them shimmering into the pale morning light. Through this quiet, empty landscape, a small figure moves, soft, slow, deliberate. The Arctic fox steps across the snow with a grace that borders on invisible, as if the land itself is carrying it forward without effort. Its white winter coat blends perfectly into its surroundings, making it seem more like a drifting ghost than a living creature. The cold here is not just a temperature, it is a presence, an entity that presses into skin, into bone, into breath. It is the kind of cold that freezes water inside a fallen leaf, the kind that cracks stones in half, the kind that steals life without warning. Yet the fox walks through it without hesitation. Each step is light but sure, each movement controlled by instincts sharpened through countless generations. Its ears, small and sharply pointed, turn slowly like listening instruments, gathering every whisper buried beneath the snow. For a moment, everything stops. The fox freezes in place, head tilted, eyes narrowed, ears locked forward. A faint vibration pulses through the snow, a tiny tremor that no human ear could ever detect. Beneath a thick layer of ice and powder, something stirs. A lemming moves, unaware of the predator above. The fox closes its eyes, listening deeply, allowing the world to fall completely silent except for that tiny sound. Then, in a sudden burst of movement, the fox leaps high into the air. Its body arcs gracefully upward, paws tucked in, tail curved like a balancing line. It seems to hang in the air for a moment, a perfect silhouette against the endless white, before it dives straight down, nose first, into the snow. An explosion of powder rises around it, sparkling like shattered crystal. The fox disappears for a heartbeat, then surfaces, a small but precious meal clutched between its teeth. Its eyes shimmer with a quiet triumph. In the Arctic, even the smallest victory is life. The fox eats quickly, knowing the cold will claim whatever remains. Nothing can be wasted here. Hunger is a constant shadow, following every step. But the fox does not linger. It turns and begins moving again, padding gently across the untouched snow, leaving only the faintest suggestion of footprints. The wind sweeps them away within seconds, erasing evidence of its passing. This land belongs to nothing and remembers nothing, yet the fox navigates it with flawless certainty. A sudden gust of polar wind roars across the open plain, spiraling against the fox's fur. The air is so cold it bites like teeth. The fox simply lowers its head and walks through it, letting the storm wash over its small frame. The fur on its neck ripples, but the creature does not slow. Its coat is nature's masterpiece, 2 layers of dense insulation, designed to trap heat so effectively that snow landing on it never melts. To the fox, the Arctic is not an enemy. It is home. As the day progresses, the light grows softer, drifting toward the long Arctic evening. The sun hangs low, barely rising above the horizon before beginning its slow descent again. Its rays turn the snow into pale gold, spreading thin shadows across the ground. The fox's body stretches long across the ice, its tail trailing behind like a white ribbon. It moves with no wasted energy, no unnecessary sound. Even the air around it seems to quiet as it passes. Far in the distance, the ice groans a deep, rumbling crack that echoes like distant thunder. The sea beneath the frozen surface shifts and breathes. The fox stops again, ears twitching at the sound. But there is no threat yet, only the endless conversation between ocean and ice. The temperature begins to fall, dropping rapidly as night approaches. Shadows deepen into blue, then into black. The wind becomes sharper, carrying icy particles that sting like sand. The fox searches for shelter, its eyes glowing faintly in the fading light. It finds a low snowdrift shaped by past storms and slips behind it, curling its small body into a tight circle. Its tail wraps around its nose like a warm blanket, sealing in the heat. Humans would die in minutes in this cold. The fox sleeps peacefully. But even in rest, the fox is alert. Every few minutes, its ears flick toward a distant sound, a shifting ice sheet, a far-off bird cry, the faint howl of a wolf carried through the wind. Here, the night is not empty. It is alive with whispers that only the Arctic knows. Hours pass. The sky above becomes a canvas of stars, bright and cold and endless. The fox lifts its head for a moment, watching them with quiet stillness. The world is dark, but the fox does not fear the dark. It thrives in it. The night gives it cover, safety, and opportunity. Some of its best hunts happen under the shadow of the moon. A faint rustling reaches its ears. The fox rises silently, moving toward the sound. Its paws glide across the snow without a single crunch. It follows the vibration, the faint shift beneath the frozen surface. Again, it pauses. Again, the world narrows to one point of focus. With precise timing, the fox leaps once more, diving into the snow. Another quick catch, another burst of frozen powder. The fox devours its meal and continues onward. It will travel kilometers tonight, guided only by the wind, the stars, and instincts carried from ancestors who survived storms fiercer than imagination. As the first hint of dawn paints the horizon in pale blue, the fox climbs a small ridge of ice and sits at its highest point. The wind tears past its fur, lifting snow into small spirals around its paws. It watches the vast world below, a white ocean of frozen silence stretching farther than sight. This land may seem empty to others, but to the fox, it is full of possibility, life, and purpose. The Arctic fox closes its eyes for a moment, breathing deeply, feeling the cold settle around it like a familiar blanket. This is its kingdom, a kingdom built not on strength, but on silence, patience, and survival. And the ghost of the frozen world rises once more to begin another day. A soft storm of icy wind rolls across the tundra as the Arctic fox steps out from its shallow den, its white coat glowing faintly under the pale sun. The cold bites at everything else, but not at this creature. Its fur traps warmth with a mastery no other animal knows. Each step leaves a perfect imprint on the powdery snow, as if the land itself remembers every journey it makes. The fox lifts its head, sniffing the air. The scent of distant prey rides on the whispering wind, a trace so faint that almost nothing else would detect it. But for the Arctic fox, this is how survival begins each morning, listening to a world made of snow, breathing in stories frozen in the air. Far ahead, the land stretches endlessly, broken only by gentle slopes and glittering frost. The Arctic fox pauses, ears swiveling like living radar dishes. Beneath the thick ice crust, the faintest rustle gives away a hidden heartbeat. Somewhere below, a lemming shifts its tiny weight, unaware that a hunter waits above with perfect patience. The fox lowers its body. Its tail drapes across the snow like a silent plume, balancing every movement. The world holds still. The wind slows. Even the cold seems to pause as the fox gathers its strength. Then an explosion of motion, snow sprays upward, paws slice through the crust, and the fox dives face first into the drift. When it emerges, it holds its prey firmly, its eyes glowing with the satisfaction of instinct fulfilled. The fox trots away from the spot, snow clinging to its whiskers. The kill is small, but every scrap of energy matters here. Predators must earn every breath. Still, this fox does not eat all of it. Instead, it stashes part of the lemming behind a ridge, pressing snow over it with practiced skill. Food is not just for hunger, it is for tomorrow, for storms, for cubs that may need it, for moments when the tundra grows quiet and cruel. Clouds gather overhead, rolling in thick gray sheets. The temperature drops again, but the fox welcomes it. This is a world where cold is safety. Cold keeps larger predators away. Cold preserves the fox's cache. Cold shapes a life built on endurance, not comfort. A sudden shadow crosses the land. The fox freezes. A snowy owl glides silently above, its golden eyes sharply scanning the ground. Predator meets predator in a rivalry older than memory. The owl circles once, twice, but the fox remains perfectly still, blending with its world so seamlessly that it becomes almost invisible. After a moment, the owl drifts away into the fog. The fox continues onward, weaving through low drifts and icy ridges. It stops beside a frozen creek, where long cracks lace across the surface like delicate silver veins. Beneath the ice, faint echoes vibrate, water shifting slowly, whispering secrets from deeper places. The fox listens, not because it expects prey here, but because sound itself is guidance in a land where sight often fails. In the distance, a cluster of caribou trudge steadily across the plain. The fox keeps a respectful distance. It does not hunt them, but their movement stirs smaller creatures, loosening snow, exposing hidden tunnels. Every life here affects every other. Survival is a woven story, each thread tugged by another. As the day dims, light stretches long shadows across the tundra. The fox's white coat darkens with the sky, turning silver blue under the rising twilight. Now begins its second hunt. Night does not change its resolve. The fox is as comfortable under stars as it is under sunlight. The Arctic is not a place of days and nights. It is a place of seasons, of endless winter woven through brief flashes of summer. A gust of wind carries a new scent. Seal remains left by a distant polar bear. The fox moves quickly, guided by instinct. Scavenging is as honorable as hunting in the Arctic, and leftover food is a treasure. When it reaches the site, it approaches carefully, checking every scent to make sure the bear has gone. The world teaches caution through centuries of survival. The fox takes what it needs: a shred of meat frozen stiff, preserved by the icy air. It tears a small piece free and buries it again under a shallow layer of snow. Storage is an art here, a memory, a plan, a hope for a harsher day. Night deepens. Stars shimmer overhead, sharp and bright, like ancient eyes watching the tundra breathe. The fox curls its tail around its body, creating a warm circle of fur. It rests on the open snow, its heartbeat steady, its breath rising in soft clouds. The cold presses around it, but it does not fear the dark. In darkness, it is still the master of silence. Soon, distant howls echo across the plain. Wolves, far enough to ignore but close enough to respect. The fox opens its eyes, listening. It is small compared to them, but size is not the measure of strength in the Arctic. Survival belongs to those who adapt, who endure, who listen to the land and move with its rhythm. A faint vibration stirs beneath the fox. Another potential hunt. It rises gracefully, ears tuned to the soft scraping sound below the snow. The chase begins again, quiet and patient. Life in the Arctic never pauses. Not for hunger, for rest, not for fear. The fox leaps once more, breaking through the crust and disappearing in a spray of powder. The tundra answers with silence, and then with the crunch of tiny bones. Another victory, another moment earned in a land where nothing is free. As dawn begins to glow on the horizon, soft pink merging into blue, the fox stands alone on a rise overlooking the endless white. It inhales deeply, its breath forming a halo of frost. This world may seem empty to outsiders, but to the Arctic fox, it is a living, breathing tapestry of sound, scent, and snow. Every drift tells a story, every wind carries a clue. Every heartbeat, above or below the ice, matters, and as the fox moves forward into the new day, it becomes clear, in the frozen silence, life thrives. For those who know how to read the quiet, a pale sunrise begins to spread across the horizon, casting long streaks of gold over the frozen world. The Arctic fox steps from its den, its fur shimmering softly as the wind combs through it like invisible fingers. Today, the tundra feels different, quieter, heavier, as if holding its breath for something unknown. The fox senses it instantly. Instinct sharpens its movements, guiding each step as it surveys the snowy expanse ahead. The fox pricks its ears toward the north. The distant crackling of shifting ice echoes across the plain. It pauses, nose twitching, analyzing scents carried on the cold breeze. There is no danger, only change. In the Arctic, change is both promise and warning, a reminder that survival is a continuous dance. The fox continues forward, paws crunching lightly over the hardened surface. A faint fluttering sound emerges near a low ridge. The fox lowers its body, moving with precision. Ahead, two ptarmigans scratch at the snow, searching for buried plants. Their speckled feathers help them vanish into the icy background, but not from the fox's trained senses. The fox evaluates the scene not with hunger, but with awareness. It knows when to chase and when to conserve energy. This morning, the birds are too alert. The fox turns away, choosing patience over instinct. As it moves across the plain, the sky darkens with drifting clouds. Snow begins to fall, soft and weightless. Flakes land on the fox's coat and disappear instantly. To the fox, snow is not an obstacle but a veil, something to melt into, something that blurs its form until predator and landscape become one. It trots through the slow-falling storm with complete confidence, leaving barely a whisper of its path behind. Deeper into the tundra, the fox discovers a series of fresh wolf tracks. The prints are large, spaced widely apart, evidence of a fast, determined pace. The fox studies them calmly, mapping their direction. Wolves do not hunt foxes, but competition is a silent war here. If wolves are near, scavenged leftovers become rare. Hunts become harder. The fox absorbs this information like a strategy, adjusting its path toward areas less disturbed by larger predators. The wind shifts again, carrying a sharp earthy scent from beneath the snow. The fox halts. Somewhere below, a hole scurries through its narrow tunnel. The fox tilts its head, listening deeply. Snow muffles the world, but not enough to hide a heartbeat from an Arctic fox. With a sudden leap, it crashes through the surface, breaking into the under-ice world with perfect aim. When it emerges, the vole is clutched in its jaw. A small victory, but one that fuels the fox's strength in a land where strength is measured in moments. The fox eats half the catch and carries the rest toward a cluster of frozen boulders. Here, it digs a shallow hole and buries the remaining food with delicate precision. These caches are lifelines, tiny anchors of hope scattered across the endless ice. The fox remembers every hiding place, mapping them into a mental landscape more detailed than any drawn chart. The snowfall deepens, swirling into small spirals around the fox's legs. Visibility drops, but the fox moves confidently, guided not by sight, but by memory, scent, and instinct honed by generations of survival. The storm is growing. The fox must find shelter before the winds sharpen. It travels toward a familiar ridge where the snow drifts higher, forming natural walls against the bitter winds. It slips inside a hollow created by the snow and pauses to listen. The storm outside growls, tearing across the plain. Inside the shelter, the fox breathes deeply, its warm breath fogging the air. The snow around it acts as insulation, turning the icy chamber into a quiet sanctuary. Here, the fox waits, curled tightly with its tail wrapped around its snout. Hours pass before the storm weakens. The fox steps out into a transformed world. The landscape is smoother, softer, erased, and rewritten by the fierce winds. Old tracks have vanished, and new challenges have formed beneath the pristine layer. But this is the Arctic fox's strength. It thrives in unpredictability, finding opportunity where others find hardship. The fox resumes its journey, moving toward the coastline. The faint roar of the ocean grows stronger with each step. Soon, the frozen sea stretches out before it like a vast field of fractured glass. Jagged ice fragments jut upward, glowing pale blue under the dim light. The fox walks carefully across the surface, sensing cracks beneath its paws. A dark shape appears near a distant ridge, an Arctic hare. It bounds quickly across the snow, its large feet keeping it afloat with effortless grace. The fox watches intently, considering a chase. But hares are swift, and the fox is still recovering from the storm. Survival is not about risk, it is about timing. The fox lets the hare go, saving its energy. Farther along the shore, a scavenging opportunity appears. A small piece of ice stained with remnants of a seal carcass left behind by a polar bear. The fox approaches cautiously, scanning the air for the massive predator's scent. Nothing fresh remains. It edges closer, tearing away a thin scrap of frozen fat. Rich in energy, vital for warmth. The fox consumes part of it and stores the rest in a crack between ice slabs. As twilight settles in, the world turns shades of violet and silver. The fox climbs a small rise overlooking the sea. Below, sheets of ice shift and collide, creating deep, thunder-like groans that echo across the frozen shore. To others, it might sound eerie, but to the fox, it is home. A breathing world, a living symphony of ice and wind. The fox lifts its head, eyes narrowing as it catches the faintest glow on the horizon. The aurora begins to unfurl, green, blue, and purple ribbons stretching across the sky like flowing silk. The fox watches silently. These lights do not feed it, nor protect it. Yet in their shifting glow, the fox becomes part of something ancient and beautiful. It steps forward, its white coat now shimmering with reflected colors. Each breath rises in a cloud and disappears into the aurora-lit night. The fox moves gracefully across the snow, every step a testament to resilience. In the Arctic, survival is not a fight, it is an art. An agreement between creature and land. A quiet understanding that life thrives not because conditions are easy, but because the spirit is strong. The fox continues onward, small yet powerful, fragile yet enduring. A ghost in the frozen silence. A symbol of adaptation, patience, courage, and the quiet miracle of life in a world carved from ice.